Hey, fourth graders. We're here again today to read some more of Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. I think that we're going to finish it today. We have 3 chapters. I'm starting with chapter 46, so here we go. The moon began to fade as the brightening sky revealed itself through it. The sun was awakening, and Min Lee wanted to return home as soon as possible. Dragon, having waited 3 days and nights, was well rested, so they decided to leave Neverending Mountain at once. As Dragon soared through the sky, any heaviness inside Min Lee left. He seemed to dance in the air, and his happiness made her feel as light as the clouds around her. The sun seemed to warm her heart, and joy bubbled inside of her. She knew she had asked the right question. Before they left, Min Lee and the dragon circled over the village of the moon rain. Da'afu, Ama, Agong, and the villagers saw them and ran out of their stone hut, flapping their ruined sleeves in greeting. "Don't stop!" Ama shouted with a broad smile. "Go home!" Min Lee nodded and waved goodbye until the flowering trees looked like brushstrokes of golden paint on the mountain. Flying on the dragon made traveling much faster. It seemed as if in no time they were above the city of bright moonlight. From the sky, the inner city and outer city grids looked like a giant labyrinth, and the 2 stone guardians looked as if they were dog trinkets molded from clay. Min Lee saw the roof of the Buffalo Boy's broken down hut, but no glimpse of him. He's probably inside, sleeping, Min Lee thought, wondering if the goddess of weaving had visited the previous night. But as they passed the bay of water by the city, Min Lee saw something strange, like an orange shadow streaking across the sky. Dragon saw it too and slowed down. As it got closer, there was no mistaking it. It was another dragon. The dragon was orange, the color of the inside of a ripe mango. When she saw Min Lee and Dragon, a coquettish smile spread across her face. "Hello," Dragon breathed in an odd voice. Min Lee looked at him in surprise. But the orange dragon kept flying without saying a word. As she passed, she winked at them. Dragon balanced in midair as if stunned. He watched the orange dragon sweep down and away to the water below until she was a ginger speck in the distance. "Are you okay?" Min Lee asked the dragon as he continued to stare. "You must be excited that you've finally seen another dragon." "I am," Dragon said, as if in a daze. Then he shook himself as if trying to rouse himself awake. "But I'll find her again later. I'll bring you home first." Min Lee shrugged. Dragon was acting oddly, but there was something familiar about that orange dragon. Perhaps the way her scales reflected in the sun like fish scales glistening in the water, and those knowledgeable eyes nodding as if she knew her. Min Lee smiled. Hours passed and the land below them blurred. Min Lee slept on and off. The smooth ride of the flying dragon made it easy for her to sleep. Min Lee was impressed by how far they had journeyed and how much faster they were able to travel by flying. The sun was only beginning to go down past the horizon when they saw the edge of the peach forest. The tops of the peach trees seemed to sway a welcome to them as they flew overhead, and as they continued to fly, Min Lee thought she saw the monkeys still attached by the fishnet around the pot of rice. But Dragon was still acting strangely. When Fruitless Mountain, with its familiar black peak cutting into the pink and orange sunset sky, came into view, the dragon almost stopped flying. "What mountain is that?" he asked Min Lee. "It's Fruitless Mountain," Min Lee told him. "Right beyond it, next to the Jade River, is my home." Fruitless Mountain, he said to himself, and even though he continued to fly, he seemed to be in a daze. Min Lee wondered if flying had somehow made him lightheaded. But Her attention could not be kept by her concern for him. Night was falling, and the dark lines of Fruitless Mountain softened in the shadowy sky. But Minley could still see that every moment brought the Jade River and Fruitless Mountain closer. She was almost home. However, when they reached Fruitless Mountain, Dragon suddenly stopped. He dropped lightly to the base of Fruitless Mountain, where so long ago Minley had taken some stone to make her compass. "This is Fruitless Mountain," Dragon said, and again Minley looked at him. He was definitely acting out of the ordinary. "Yes," Minley said, a bit puzzled. "My village is just a bit past this. I can walk from here if you wish." "Do you mind?" Dragon asked. "For some reason, I feel as I do not want to leave here." "No, I don't mind," Minley said. "Are you okay?" The dragon looked at her and smiled. "Yes," Dragon said. "Strangely, I feel like I'm at home." Minley wrinkled her forehead in confusion, but was too eager to get home to her parents to ask any more questions. Minley hugged Dragon goodbye. He returned her hug warmly, but she could tell he was distracted. She held out the round ball she had taken from Dragon's head. "Do you want this?" "No." Dragon glanced at it absent-mindedly. "You can have it." Minley shrugged again, but the urge to go home began to pull at her strongly. She waved goodbye to Dragon and began to run towards the village. It was late at night when she finally reached home. The slumbering village was silent, and as Minley crept into her home, the pale goldfish greeted her. "Shh," the goldfish said to her. "Your parents are sleeping. Welcome home." Minley was a little surprised to see a goldfish, but smiled a greeting. Moonlight misted over the rough floors and made the sparse room glow silver, the goldfish bowl looking like a second moon. The shabby walls and worn stones seemed to shimmer as if a translucent silk veil covered them, muting any flaws and transforming the house into a dwelling of luminous light and delicate shadows. Minley had never seen her home look so beautiful. Tiptoeing, she put her bag and the dragon's stone on the table and went into her room. Smiling, she climbed into her bed and went to sleep. Chapter 47. "Minley! Minley!" Ma and Ba's happiness burst from them exploding firecrackers, and even before she could open her eyes, they had flung themselves upon her. The joy! How it flowed and flooded over her. More golden than the king's dragon's bracelet, sweeter than a peach from the Queen Mother's garden, and more beautiful than a goddess of heaven. Minley smiled, treasuring her good fortune. Ma and Ba only stopped hugging her when her stomach began to grumble with hunger. Ma rushed to make a special breakfast, taking out the carefully saved dried pork to make Minley's favorite porridge, while Ba jumped to get some fresh water to make tea. But when Ba went into the main room, he made a choking noise that caused Minley and Ma to come running. "What is that?" he said, pointing. Minley followed his finger and saw him pointing at her traveling possessions on the table. The fish swam merrily around in its bowl as the silk of her brocade bag made the sunlight skip around the room. "That is a bag given to me by the king of the city of bright moonlight," Minley said. "It is very fine, isn't it?" "Not that," Ba said, waving the bag away. "That." And now Minley saw that he was pointing to Dragon's stone ball. "It's just a gift from a friend," Minley said, handing it to her father. Ba took it in his hands reverently, a look of awe on his face. "This is not just any gift," Ba whispered, and he took his sleeve and gently rubbed the surface of the stone. To Minley's great surprise, the grayness of the stone began to smudge away, and a translucent, lustrous glow seemed to shine through. This is a dragon's pearl. Minli and Ma stared. A dragon's pearl, Ma said slowly. She sat down and looked at Minli. A dragon's pearl is worth the emperor's entire fortune. Minli opened her mouth, but before any words could come out, there was a great shouting and clamoring outside on the street. Ba quickly but carefully put the dragon pearl back on the table before they all hurried out to see what the uproar was about. What is it? Ma asked, grabbing a neighbor. The entire village had flowed into the street, talking and shouting like a flock of birds discovering a feast. What is happening? It's Fruitless Mountain, the neighbor said. Fruitless Mountain has turned green. What? Ba said. It's true, another neighbor chimed in. Fruitless Mountain is no longer fruitless, and the Jade River is clear and fresh, too. Minli, Ma, and Ba looked at the mountain. It was true. Fruitless Mountain was no longer a black shadow above them. As the day dawned, the mountain had transformed. A green lushness seemed to bloom from the rock. A jewel-colored splendor softened the sharp edges that had painfully sliced the sky. The sky itself seemed to be embracing the mountain. The wind softly caressed the newborn greenery with a nurturing breeze and skimmed the Jade River, the water now as clear as tears of joy. How is this possible? Ma asked. Jade Dragon must be happy again, Ba said. Perhaps she's reunited with one of her dragon children. Dragon, Minli thought, and her quick-thinking mind seemed to spin. Dragon said he was making his home on Fruitless Mountain. Could he be one of Jade Dragon's children? But how? Dragon was born from a painting, from paintbrushes and inkstones, and like an echo, Minli remembered Ma talking about the artist who had come to Fruitless Mountain many years ago. He took the mountain rock to carve into inking stones. Perhaps Dragon was born from an inkstone made of Fruitless Mountain, the heart of Jade Dragon. Then perhaps he was one of Jade Dragon's children. And by bringing him to Fruitless Mountain, Minli had discovered how to make Fruitless Mountain green again. Minli! A villager finally recovered from the shock of the Green Mountain stared at Minli. You came back! Look, everyone! Minli has returned! As the neighbors clamored around, Ma sighed, but it was a sigh of joy, a sound of happiness that floated like a butterfly in the air. Good fortune has come to the village, Ma said, smiling, and to us as well. Yes, Ba said, looking affectionately at Minli, but the best fortune is the one that returned. Minli smiled back, and suddenly, as she thought about her journey to and from Never-Ending Mountain, Minli realized that while she had not asked the old man of the moon any of her questions, they all had been answered. Chapter 48. The Goldfish Man shaded his eyes as he pushed his cart along the Jade River. Yes, he was almost there. How long it had been? 2 years? Perhaps 3. Yes, the poor village of Fruitless Mountain should be ahead soon, he thought. But possibly he was mistaken. When he had been there last, the most striking characteristic of the landscape had been the Black Mountain, its shadow casting gloom upon the village. But there was no dark silhouette in the sky now. In fact, the landscape looked as if it were from a heavenly painting. A majestic green mountain sat in harmony with the deepening blue sky, the sun spreading its light for the last time before it set. Had he taken a wrong turn somewhere? As he gazed, two flying figures in the sky caught his eye, red and orange, a dragon and his mate frolicking amongst the clouds. Wait, dragons? The goldfish man shook his head in disbelief, rubbed his eyes, and looked again. Only the dimming sky and feathery clouds fanning the wind were above. I must have been imagining this, he thought. The goldfish man pushed onward. The water in the fish bowls rippled and waved as the fish gazed calmly. Their brilliant colors against the abundant green land glinted like gold and jade. As he entered the village, the goldfish man again began to doubt if he was in the right place. Smooth stone lined the roadway, and instead of the rough board houses he remembered, rich wooden doors, some elaborately carved, lined the street. As he pushed his cart down the narrow street, lively children dressed in gay colors flew toward him like a festival of silk kites. Goldfish! Goldfish! They cried. Ma, Ba, can we get one? Parents walked over and smiled indulgently at their children, and by the time the sun disappeared, the goldfish man had sold out of his wares. Clearly, this was not the same poor village he had come to before, where only that one girl purchased a fish. But then he remembered hearing a story about how a family that lived by the Jade River had given the king of the city of bright moonlight the incredible gift of a dragon pearl, refusing any payment. In gratitude, the king presented the entire village with gifts of seeds and farming equipment that brought more prosperity than any reward of gold and jade. Maybe this was the place. Little one, the goldfish man asked a young girl dressed in a peony pink silk jacket and a leaf green pantaloons. The last time I came to the village of Fruitless Mountain, a child ran away from home. What happened to her? Ran away from here? The girl looked at him in disbelief as if the idea was foreign. Then she nodded. Oh, you must mean Min Li. That's when this used to be called the Village of Fruitless Mountain. Now it's called the Village of Fruitful Mountain. Yes, Min Li, the goldfish man said. I think that was her name. What happened to her? Well, she and her family live over there. The girl waved her arm. They built a courtyard in front and in back of their house. It's behind the gate with the pictures of the lucky children on the door. The goldfish man wheeled his empty cart to the indicated gate. On each half of the crimson doors hung a painting of a round-faced, laughing child dressed in brilliant red. Their pink cheeks and merry smiles made it impossible not to smile back, and as he grasped one of the metal door knockers shaped like a grinning lion head, he realized that the painting on the left was of a girl and the one on the right was a boy. The door flew open as soon as he knocked, and the goldfish man was face to face with a woman he scarcely recognized. He recognized her even less when she threw her arm around him like an old friend. You, she said to him, her face wrinkling in cheerful smiles. Come in, come in. My husband will be happy to see you. The goldfish man, speechless with surprise, let himself be led through the gate doors. Was this the mother with angry eyes he had met in the woods long ago? Yes, this pleasant-faced woman, her plum-colored coat embroidered with flowering trees, was the same person. He shook his head in disbelief. As he glanced upward, he realized the courtyard was like a well for the sky. The stars and night seemed to flow into it endlessly. Was the courtyard built for just that purpose? He wondered. Light from the house streamed through the lattice patterned doors, illuminating the enclosure like a lit lantern. There, the father was surrounded by visiting children, whom the Goldfish Man recognized as his earlier customers. Some of the children were playing on the ground with clay toys of boys, buffalo, monkeys, and rabbits, while others were being served tea by the father. This tea is a gift from our faraway friends, the father was saying as he handed a child a cup. They call it Dragon Well. Husband, the woman called. Husband, look who's here. As he caught sight of the Goldfish Man, the father stopped in mid-sentence and his face broke into a wide smile. Ah, he cried, dear friend. Then, like the mother, before letting him bow politely, the father embraced him warmly. Come, the father said, have some tea. My wife will bring out some cakes and snacks. The Goldfish Man finally found his voice. I'm glad to see you and your wife so happy and prosperous, he said. I only stopped to see if, well, last time we met, how's your daughter? Min Lee, the father said, laughing, waving his hand toward the house. Oh, she's in the back. She will be happy to see you too, but she will come out later. This is the time of night she likes to watch the moon. She returned then? The Goldfish Man asked. I thought she would. What happened? Ah, my friend, Bob laughed again. You've come at the right time. Why do you think these children are here? They come here every night because they want to hear the story again. The story of Min Lee's journey to and from Never-Ending Mountain. Come, sit. You can hear it for the first time. The Goldfish Man sat down willingly on a stone seat and found a fragrant cup of tea in his hand. The children clamored around Ba, each more excited than the last and eager for the story to begin. But as Ma went inside the house to get refreshments, she left the door wide open, and the Goldfish Man could not help peering in. He could see all the way through the house to the back courtyard, where the figure of a young girl sat on a bench, a small pond of fish at her feet. The moonlight washed over everything like a rich bath of gold and silver, making the fish shimmer like pearls, and the girl glow with a magical glory reserved for the stars of heaven. But Min Lee was obviously unaware of all around her, lost in faraway dreams. For even in the misty light, the Goldfish Man could see her smiling a secret smile up to the sky, to where the mountain meets the moon. And that is the end of our story. And here's a picture, the final picture of our story. I hope you enjoyed this book. I sure did. There are some questions. There's a reader's guide at the end of this story. And the very last question on here is number 10. It says, if you could meet one of the characters in this book, who would it be? Why? Maybe you could share that with me on Seesaw if you have watched the end of this with me and listened to the story with me. So if you feel like sharing, you can on Seesaw. It's not a must, but I would love to hear what character you would want to be. So I will see you next time with a brand new book. See you later.